brothers and sisters. I ain't got long, so I'm gonna go ahead and try to make this message quick. The cries of humanity is loud. So loud, in fact, it is literally shaking the foundation of the very essence of this universe. Help us, save us, protect us, lead us, guide us, etc., etc. All those cries have been heard by so many of the ears of the various beings existing within this reality, and they have come forth to provide their existence in various forms, some subtle, others loud and can be heard. We're not going to speak on the whole subtle ways some of these helps are provided, because for some, you're not even going to understand or comprehend the subtlety and the subtleties of this great multiverse of ours. So let's focus on the whole loudness of what is taking place. Brothers and sisters, within the reality right now, you have countless of trumpets that are being blown. By trumpet, I simply speak of the various truths that are being spoken from individual vessels worldwide, collective vessels worldwide. People are coming out. They're peeling back the veils of the manipulation, the lies, the deceptions, the greed, the selfishness, the inhumane treatment that have long held back the evolution of humanity's consciousness. Many of you are slowly but surely becoming aware of this fight. Some of you are courageous enough to get involved in this fight. And for that, I salute you. Welcome to the battlefield. For in truth, since the day of your birth, little did you know you have been engaged in this active warfare that has been taking place on the invisible plane, called it spiritual warfare. Has it not been told, or as I said, has it not been long foretold that we battle not with flesh and blood, but with principalities? And I don't know how the rest of it goes, but ultimately, brothers and sisters, we are dealing with things within this reality that cannot be seen with the naked eye. And these things, these entities, throughout every time, space, and dimension, that have long clung to the manipulation and deception and feeding upon humanity's psyche. With each and every one of you that awaken, a new soul is set free. A new soul is actively engaged back into the battle that they have long forgotten. And ultimately, the feeding frenzy, slowly but surely, comes to an end. And indeed, the battle is over. Humanity has won. However, we're still dealing with the residue of war. Hence the reason of this message. brothers and sisters, the very cry that I spoke of in the very beginning of this video, the cries of humanity that have shaken the essence of creation. Within this moment, I need you, each and every one of you that are going to behold this message, to understand that, for starters, the creator of the multiverse, the very source of creation itself, did not create a world and leave it unattended. Naturally, there are guardians in place that watches over this world. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, well, if there are guardians in place that watches over the world, how then did it end up being like this? Indeed, I ask, how? You live in a world of free will. I said the message was not going to be long, and I don't want to go into all of this because I'm a little bit, I have to be somewhere in a little bit. But let me just try to forward this. You live in a world that consists of free will, your will. A multiverse that is set up to honor your will, you the viewer. Whatever it is that you want, the universe must respect and give to you. If you want war, the universe will create the means for you to have wars, honoring your wishes. If you want peace, the universe will create the means to provide you peace. Again, honoring your wishes. If you want to bring an end to this corrupt system, this unjust system that you collectively and individually agreed to create, all you need do is ask. All you need do is make that the intention. And like a genie in the bottle, the universe is going to honor your wishes. This is part of the whole loud help that I spoke of. Instead of doing it on a subtle level, which is that gentle whisper that comes into your ear, that inspiration that is whisper in your ear, and you're inspired to do something in this reality that is your purpose. This is the loud inspiration. If you want an end to the injustice that is taking place, that has long taken place in this reality, my divine brother, my divine sister, all you need to do is simply ask. Ask not just in words, ask in your actions, ask in your thoughts, ask in your emotions. A lot of you are becoming aware of the bullshit that so many in this reality has suffered, lost everything for, is actively engaged in. You are becoming aware of these things now because you are starting to feel what those brothers, those pioneers felt. You're starting to see what they saw. And you're starting to realize that this is not life. This is not living. It is almost as if human beings are born into a prison-like system, and they are forced to participate in this prison-like system until they pass away out of the body. When in truth, this prison-like system that has been created, collectively, it is the individual gods and goddesses of this world that got together and agreed to creating and sustaining the life force or the spirit that is this system, who is actively convinced that the suffering of human beings is the purpose of life. The suffering of the soul is the purpose of life. And the sooner you realize that this is indeed a fucking lie, the sooner you can awaken. Now, ultimately, the point of this message is this. Brothers and sisters, if indeed you are tired of the bullshit, the injustice that is being dealt to individual races, to individual species, I should say, to individuals themselves, to the children, to the education, the educational system, to the very justice that is to uphold the rights that is bestowed upon every soul when they come into this reality. It is time for you to realize all the help that you have ever prayed for, cried for, it has been bestowed upon you. You are the answer prayer that this collective has prayed for. You have the power to say no more. You have the power to bring an end to all of this. Recently, I shared a video on my page where there was a bunch of colored dots, and the gentleman was like, this is everybody, and as you can see, there was a lot of dots. And then away from this dot, there's this little pin that you could barely even see. And with that pin, there was one dot who I guess was the enforcer of the pin's will upon the majority. When will you realize that you, the people, have all the power that you have ever needed to say fuck you to this little pin? To say, who are you in the first place to think that you could tell a collective of people what they can and cannot do with their life, what they can and cannot do with the product in which that they produce? Who are you to tell them how they can utilize their money, their resources? Until the majority realize that this pen and its enforcer are insignificant, you will continue to be at the mercy of this pen, this single dot, this 1%, and their enforcers. Their enforcers, which to me are the stupidest in this entire game, because it's like somebody manipulated you to go against your own kind just because they give you a little bit more rewards than the rest. Cops, lawyers, judges, and all these, and the politician, and all these motherfuckers that are obeying that 1%. Bitch, you know different from the collective, because to you, you're but a guard dog. To them, I should say, you're but a guard dog sent out to attack your own kind, protecting the laws of the very people that are keeping your brothers and sisters mentally enslaved. But ultimately, even you don't matter, because as soon as collectively all the colored dots that are in that video, all the 99% of the brothers and sisters in this world realizes that we literally agreed to give this 1% power because we thought them to be wiser when it came to governing us. We voted somebody to be our voice collectively, to be our will collectively. Through them, they serve the remainder of the brethren. But in giving this one individual power to be our mouth, our eyes, our ear on the world stage, they convince themselves that they are more powerful than the very ones that are giving them the power to rule. Kings, queens, politicians, it matters the fuck not. Collectively, you agree to this. It is only until you decide to no longer agree to this fuck shit, this agreement that is, we give you power, and then you convince yourself that you're more powerful than we, the ones who give you the power. Until you unprogram from that delusion, you will continue to think that somebody else rules over your life. Even with their enforcers. Until each and every one of you are willing to deal with the consequences that says, fuck the enforcers, fuck the 1%, fuck it, come take everything. Until you're willing to risk everything, until the very comfort that you're working so diligently to preserve. With each new day, this corrupt system is slowly but surely taking it from right under your feet. Privacy, gone. Your livelihood, gone. Your resources, gone. Freedom, gone. Everything gone. Why? Because you have given away your power and authority over yourself to another. The power and authority to govern yourself, your life, what you create with your own two hands, what you birth into reality, your family, your career, your purpose, all of these responsibility, you are giving it away to somebody else to be responsible for. And when they are irresponsible with your very submission to their will, you get mad, failing to realize this motherfucker naturally, that is the 1%, they only give a fuck about them and their responsibility. You are but a pawn in their world, in their game. How can they literally be responsible for you, a living being, a living entity, when they themselves, the living entity, have their own life responsibility to deal with, and you're not one of them? Their responsibility is to themselves, to govern themselves. And part of governing of themselves is to manipulate you into thinking that they're all powerful. Because if they're perceived to be all powerful, then they can rob you blind of everything that you worked hard to earn. And the more of you that day after day vote your power away, going to do a message on solely voting your power away one of these days. The more and more of you that vote your power away daily in every whatever shit they come up with. Let me give you this power and authority. Tell me what to do. It is so disappointing to know your freedom, the freedom of the soul, you give away. The freedom to think what you want, do what you want, you give away. Because you are convinced you are unable to claim responsibility over your vessel. You are convinced that you, without someone else's supervision, you are going to act immorally in this world. You will have no guidance as to what is right and what is wrong. When I look you in your fucking eyes and tell you, bitch, you always know what is right and what is wrong, because the spirit of discernment that resides within you knows what is good and what is bad. But if you give that authority to another, then you can act in a contrary way to that instinct that knows right from wrong. Because now your excuse become, well, I can blame it on you. You should have been the one there to tell me what is right and wrong. But because you wasn't there, I made a boo-boo, I made a mess, and I went against myself. So now that guilt can be projected on them. The responsibility of this world was placed in each and every one of our hands. But because we agreed to say we don't want to take responsibility for the world, its resources, the environment that we live in, for the very land that is ours, we don't want responsibility. Let's give it to a few. And while we give it to them, let's not hold them accountable for their actions, for their deeds. Let's let them do whatever they want, because by we allowing them to do whatever they want, we too can do whatever we want. And in this world of immorality, we can just project all of our immoral behaviors on each other. Brothers and sisters, the key to bringing an end to this dumbass shit that is this world that collectively we've agreed to create is you that are watching this video. When you get sick and tired of the fuck shit that this world has created, I mean, it's so obvious now that you will have to have been living under a stone to not see what is taking place. Imagine a world of wise being. And in this world of wise being, they decide to put into power the stupidest amongst them. For the single reason that the stupidest amongst them has learned how to charismatically present themselves on the world stage, has learned how to operate and run a business. Some of these more, we have convinced ourselves that if an individual is able to create a business and run a business, that puts them in a position to lead, to govern, to rule. And in some parts of the world, you put an athlete in a position of power. In fact, ultimately, in short, depending on just how likable you are by the collective, ultimately determines if you're able to rule, supervise, or govern. This is the world of the wise. And look at the stupid shit that y'all do. Depending on just how likable you are, determines if you're able to survive in this reality, if you're able to rule, if you're able to lead, because everybody must like you. It is not based on your character. It is not based on your actions. It is not based on the codes, the values that you hold within yourself. No, no, no. It is not based on your intelligence. Not just your IQ, your EQ, emotional intelligence, spiritual intelligence, and yes, intelligence of yourself. It is not based on them things that qualifies you to be in a position to influence the masses. It is based on your likability. It is based on the beautiful words that this charismatic being is able to weave in the minds of the collective. Politics, where greed wears the mask of morality. Brothers and sisters, you have gotten yourself in this situation. Only you can get yourself out. This is your brother reaching out to you to plead with you to stop with this fuck shit. We need your help. When you begin to start saying no, like even when the whole vaccination shit happened, everybody just had to say no. This is my body. You have no right to force me to put something in my body that it wasn't born with. Everybody just had to come together for once and say no. But nobody did that. No. Everybody went along. Oh, is it gonna make me safe? Is it gonna protect me? Without no guarantee, you motherfuckers agreed to the shit when all you had to do was say no. Trust your immune system. The very ones that came up with a fucking illness and then propagated it through fear, through the media, with endless propaganda, caused countless of death, influence you to willingly give your body over, your vessel over, because this is how we can protect you. In fact, here it is. They offer you the problem and then they come with the solution. In fact, I should say they give the problem, they create the problem and then come around and say, here is the solution. We all know the game, and yet you're still playing by it. When you wake up and decide that you don't want no more, the universe says, yes, my child, your wish is my command. No more. Wanted this to be short. Gotta go. Now, I didn't even want it to be short. We're going to pick up on this. We'll talk later.